As with most riots, you often end up with videos of rioters doing things that backfire on themselves. And we have a scale of backfiring here. We have backfiring where a man lights himself on fire, backfiring where a dumpster rolls over somebody, and backfiring where all of the riots of the past several years seem to be erased by what these people are doing. But I thought we could start off with this idiot North Carolina rioter lights himself on fire while attempting to burn down historic building. Karma police arrest this man from the District Herald. Because look, it's kind of humorous in some ways. It's also kind of horrific. I know a lot of people might feel a certain, schadenfreude perhaps. I don't like this stuff, man. But these people are so dumb. When you see this, you're like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm sure a lot of other people are laughing about it, but I wish these people weren't trying to burn down historic buildings in North Carolina. I wish these people weren't trying to throw dumpsters at barricades or whatever and then running over their own people. And I wish they wouldn't target the Ferguson Police Department, which is currently in an attempt to undergo reform. This is the worst backfiring of all. All these protests we saw over the past several years demanding reform, and they started to do it. They brought in new personnel. They started making changes. I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't know for sure. But what do you get for it? You know why this is a backfire? Because you've just told the people of St. Louis County and Ferguson it was pointless. It was all for nothing. Nothing will stop the riots. Nothing will stop people from destroying everything if they're mad about something, no matter what you do to please them. You'd think with all of the social justice warrior nonsense we've seen over the past several years, people would finally learn you cannot please an angry mob. Apologizing does nothing. Now, there have been some circumstances. Flint, for instance, where the local sheriff's department, I believe, marched with the protesters. Something similar happened in New Jersey. You don't offer them anything. You just stand next to them and say, hey, man, we're going to march with you. But I do think it's important to point out in those circumstances that I can't speak for New Jersey, so maybe it does work in some instances. But in Ferguson, there's not a whole lot there to loot and riot about, right? I mean, there is a lot to riot about, but not in your community you're trying to save. You'd think that would make a lot of sense in bigger cities, but these people, look, the downtown shopping malls aren't their communities. They don't care. And yeah, some of them even rob their own stores in their own communities, but they're big corporations. They don't care. Let's read the story from the District Herald. In another hilarious moment of instant karma from the riots, some idiot who was trying to burn down a historic building, but was trying to burn down a building, but lit himself on fire instead. The man was attempting to set the building ablaze as fire alarms rang out, but it blew back in his face, literally. So I'm not going to I can't show the video. We'll talk about the video. You'll have to find the video on your own because I don't think YouTube allows me to play that stuff. They say other rioters jumped in an attempt to help, put it out as one man repeatedly shouted OS. And that's the swear, mind you, for those that don't know, I censor the swears. The video appears to be from the Market House, which was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1973. Protesters also burned the U.S. flag outside. Local station WRAL reports the protesters set a fire in the Market House in Fayetteville on Saturday evening. Hours later, they have begun adding fuel to the flames as well as wooden pallets, attempting to encourage a larger fire. The Market House was built in 1832 and was home to the state legislature from 1788 through 1793 and was used as a market to sell slaves. It currently had a museum on the second floor. Violence, looting, rioting, and arson has been plaguing the city of Fayetteville for days. Like many cities across the nation, the riots began over the death of a black man who was in Minneapolis police custody. On Monday. I think this is a mistake. I think they mean it. The death of a black man, and the cop who did it has been in custody. Police vehicles have also been smashed and destroyed. Several other buildings were also lit on fire, including a CVS pharmacy. The Fayetteville rioters also broke into Cross Creek Mall, Walmart, Dollar General. All right. Hold on. Now, I get this Market House because it was used to sell slaves. I get why they might want to burn that down. Still a bad idea, right? Those that forget history are doomed to repeat it. And they turn it into a museum. Like, we detest these things. We rejected them. We fought a whole war over it, and we won. Don't you remember this? The people who wanted slavery lost that one. This now becomes a symbol of those bad things to remind us why they were bad and why we shouldn't allow them moving forward. Destroying that is scary because those that forget their pasts are doomed to repeat it. Well, now we can see another story from the District Herald in which They write that it's hilarious. All right, you know what, man? Like, I get it. A lot of people are probably laughing. I'm not happy about any of this stuff. It's a play stupid games, win stupid prizes scenario. I'm not gonna laugh at it. I'm not. You can laugh at whatever you want. I'm not gonna do it. Here's I'm not gonna. Once again, I'm not gonna play the videos, but let's read through this, and then I want to talk about Ferguson. In another bit of hilarious karma, rioters in LA rolled a dumpster over one of their own. Thousands of people are currently rioting in this California city. In the hilarious footage, rioters seen pushing a dumpster into a police barricade, but accidentally mowing down one of their own in the process. At least 2 police vehicles have already been lit on fire in the city. 2 officers have also been taken to the hospital after being hit by projectiles. There has been widespread looting throughout the city. ABC 7 reports that Mayor Eric Garcetti announced a curfew for Saturday night in downtown LA from 8 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. The cities of Beverly Hills and West Hollywood also enacted a curfew due to safety concerns. There were 533 people arrested in LA in the riot on Friday, including for attempted murder. 6 officers were injured between Friday night and Saturday morning's riots. There was a similar moment of karma in Dallas when a looter ran into a glass door while trying to flee a business he just helped destroy. Well, look, man, the people that are raiding these buildings, we can't say they're the smartest of people. It goes on to just talk about the context of the riots, but now I've got a lot more for you here. I really do. Look, George Floyd, hundreds protest across central London. I'm sorry, I just don't understand why they're protesting in London now. What are you protesting in London for? It's a totally different country. All right, I want to read through this and just talk about the sheer absurdity. Police officers, motorists run down 3 police officers and 1 civilian, flees amid Denver riot. This stuff is getting crazy. Take a look at these photos. St. Louis County PD said, here's a look at the damage that's been done at the Ferguson Police Department. All non-essential personnel have evacuated the building. This is the damage done to an officer's helmet after they were struck with an unknown object. At this time, 2 officers were injured and transported. 2 others were treated at the scene for minor injuries. Someone responded, deserved. Y'all gonna feel us. Deserved? You won that fight. No, I get it, man. Maybe you didn't win everything you wanted to win, but they're trying to reform that department. I was down in Ferguson in and out for weeks, right? So far be it from me to claim I know better than anybody who lives there. So if you do, I defer to you. I can just tell you in my experience, they say we want our community back. So maybe Ferguson's reforms are no good. But I saw a video where the new chief, I believe it was, I could be wrong, who was a black man, was saying, I'm trying to bring accountability to this department. And people were saying, I don't care about your work, your opinions, or what you think you're doing. I want numbers. And that to me it's kind of interesting. I want numbers. They want numbers. What numbers? Numbers for what? We've not arrested 100 people. I get it. You can say, last year we did this much. This year, only these many people were arrested. Last year we gave out more tickets. This year we gave out less. Whether or not they're winning, this sets a dangerous precedent. And we saw the riots after the Michael Brown incident in Ferguson. You told people you were mad and you wanted change. And so they started to make those changes. You give them a chance to make those changes. And if they don't, you get mad again. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe they went out and smashed the windows. From the video I saw, it looks like they made some positive changes. But I think what we really see from this is that it will never be enough. Nothing you do will ever be enough. There's a lot of really crazy videos, man. I'm going to do a segment on this later, but there's a video in Rochester of, what is it? It's like a woman it's a fire department equipment store, and people are trying to smash it up. It's the craziest thing. How is this going to benefit you in any way? All that's happening now is that people are going to learn that this just backfires, and no matter what you do, it won't be enough. Now, look, you can see the single instances where someone throws a Molotov and they burn themselves up. Well, that's the obvious backfiring. You play with fire, you get burned, right? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But I got to ask, why are people protesting in other places? What are you hoping to accomplish with protesting in London? White silence is compliance. Black Lives Matter, they say. What do you want to do, London? What should the UK do about American police? Do these people even understand what's going on? Do they know anything about this? I think about that guy throwing the Molotov, right? This is why I brought this story up. He tries to burn down a museum that reminds everybody that, for one, slavery was defeated, and 2, here's why it's bad, and here's what they did, here's why it's bad. And he tries to destroy it. What were you trying to accomplish with that? What's your goal? That's what I'm curious about. Now we see stories like this. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bunch of other protests in other European countries, because none of that seems to make sense. What do you want? Do you want the UK to, like, I don't know, cancel a trade deal with the US and, like, sanction the US over the police forces? Like, you're gonna have to tell me what's going on. They say, according to the BBC, thousands of people have gathered across central London to protest against the killing of an unarmed black man by police in the US. What? Okay. I get it. Solidarity, right? You are saying you support the protests here. That I can understand. What do you want them to do? Maybe it's just a sign, a symbol, fine. Okay, that's fair. I'll point that out. Maybe they just want everyone to know, here's how we feel. All right. They held up signs saying justice for George Floyd, who died in police custody. Some protesters appeared to be breaking lockdown rules, not staying 2 meters apart. The protests had been held at Trafalgar Square and outside the U.S. Embassy in Battersea. So I get it. But they're also breaking what? Lockdown? You know what, man? I have no idea what's going on with anything anymore. It's a scary thing. Nothing makes sense. That's just the reality. Nothing makes sense. Guys are lighting themselves on fire, rolling dumpsters over each other. People in the UK are protesting about what's happening in the US. Lockdown is just completely over. I guess the coronavirus doesn't exist anymore. We're all good. Everybody can go do your thing. You know, what are these businesses, local businesses doing? They're still locked down. Is anyone even paying attention or even care anymore? You got businesses having their windows smashed up. I mean, this is it. 40 million unemployed. No one has any idea what's happening. People are protesting. The dude's already been arrested. Now they're saying this. There's been another quote come out from activists saying, one arrest isn't enough. We want 4 arrests. Now the brother, I believe this is the story I read. The brother of Floyd saying he wants first-degree murder charges on the cop that killed George Floyd. You can't because a first-degree murder charge, the guy gets off. Like, do you understand what first-degree murder is? Like, you plotted the murder of this dude. He didn't even know who this guy was. Well, actually, I take that back. I mean, maybe the brother's right, because that cop actually worked with him at a bar previously. But you got to convince a jury of first-degree murder. That's nuts. And what happens if they don't give that demand? They're being set up. That's what I'll say. I'll put it that way. Think about it this way. The brother comes out and says, I demand first-degree murder charges. The city is going to be like, we can't charge him with that because it's like, that's like, what is first degree? Premeditated or something? Like you planned it? You're not going to be able to prove that. All right, well, let's say they say, fine. We'll give in. We're going to charge this cop with first degree. That's the setup. You know why? Because then when this guy is invariably acquitted by a jury because he clearly didn't plan it, it was third degree murder, it was reckless disregard and all that stuff, then they're going to riot more. And I have to wonder about what's causing all this, right? So the segment I did earlier was about the organizational nature of this. That a van pulled up, door opened, and they started firing at cops. Killed one of them. Who's doing this? Why? What's the point? It seems like, there's a video going viral of a guy giving money to activists. Some people think he's paying them to protest. Nah, he's giving them money to go buy stuff. It's the stupidest thing. There's an activist guy, and he's got money, hands it to a guy, and he's like, you can't really hear what he's saying. And people think it's, he's paying for this. One thing that I say all the time when it comes to these protests is that what you think doesn't matter. What I think doesn't matter. You know what matters? How you understand what other people think. That you know what other people think. That's why free speech is so important. It's important to see what people are saying and what they believe. If people believe that this activist guy was paying protesters to loot and burn, you got a boogaloo, man. You got a Civil War II or whatever. Because this guy was clearly Antifa. And now you're going to have people saying, see, look, Antifa is orchestrating this. They're funding it. They're paying for it. And then it leads to these kinds of crazy stories. Look at this. Motorist runs down cops and a civilian and flees in Denver. What do they say? A car has hit a cop car in Denver, injuring 3 cops and 1 civilian. The incident was captured on video by someone who was live streaming. Random guy ran over a cop in downtown Denver. Live streaming the riot, clips from the stream. Anyone in Denver, stay safe. So we know about what's happening across this country. But you'll end up seeing stuff like this. You know why? Because they see the news and they just believe it, whether it's true or not. There's a viral conspiracy theory that a cop was the one who smashed the windows out of an AutoZone in Minneapolis. Can't prove it. Doesn't matter. Now we got an inverse where an activist is paying cash to protesters and people say, there it is. That's George Soros. These people are funded and they're paying the looters. You can't prove it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. People are going to believe it. And people are going to, I guarantee people are saying to me right now in the comments, oh, come on, Tim, you know that so-and-so is doing X, Y, and Z. Look, it's not about that. It's not about what I think. It's not about what I personally believe. It's about what I can prove. But for most people, it's about what they feel, which is even worse. They feel that the orange man is bad. They feel that these cops are bad. They don't know these cops. Man, these cops want to go home and sit on their lounge chair and watch sports, but that's all been shut down. So what you get is anger and resentment and chaos. And then people target symbols of what they think is causing them the problems. It's just pure hate. There's no plan for this. Some people have a plan. I mean, for the average person doing it, it's just rage. Now, there are people who are planning on making you angry. It's what I said earlier on, right? You can really see what people care about. Journalists talk about journalists getting attacked. The left talks about the police brutality. And the conservatives are talking about the right for individuals to be free, to own their business and stuff. And I think, you can criticize the journalists for talking about themselves endlessly, like, oh no, we're being attacked, But that does fall in line a lot with what the left-wing view is. The police are bad. The police are doing this. Now, to give myself credit, I guess I've tweeted about both things, because I think it is bad that the cops are going after journalists. I think it is bad that in many of these cities, the cops are firing weapons at groups that are being peaceful. Come on, man, you got to realize that's true, right? There are certain areas that there are people, there's videos of this popping up. You can see protesters just milling about doing nothing, and then the cops engage them, and then a riot ensues. And that's why I said it's almost like a lot of these cops want these riots to happen. And that's the other question I have. I don't even know what these cops want. Is the idea to instill fear to maintain the monopoly on violence? There's a reason why it's important that people feel the government can do this. It's part of fourth generational warfare. If people start losing confidence in the ability of the government to maintain control and be dominant, well, then there's no government anymore. So I just don't know, man. I really, really don't. I don't know what anybody wants from this. I don't think anybody wants anything, to be honest. I think a lot of what we see from these conservatives that have, not necessarily, I shouldn't say conservatives, but from the store owners to defend their property, like that guy with the sword or whatever. Apparently he's tweeting, he's doing okay. We'll see. But I think here's what we have, because I'm looking at my friends who have gone insane. All right, like lefty insane, supporting this stuff. They don't know and they don't care. They're not paying attention. That's why someone would want to burn down a museum, because they don't know, they don't care. They're mad. They're mad because they were manipulated. I was talking to my friend and I said, the problem that we have is that liberals don't read the news. They really don't. They watch whatever comes on the TV and then they walk away. They talk to their friends. They don't pay attention to the bigger picture. And I've shown this graph before. Conservatives get 2/3 of their news from conservative outlets and 1/3 of their news from liberal outlets. Moderates, inverted, 2/3 from liberal outlets and 1/3 from conservative. And liberals get 95% of their news from liberal outlets. So they're living in a bubble. That's why they're posting memes where it's like the 2A protesters are, terrorists, but the rioters are peaceful or whatever, because they have no idea what's really happening. I mean, think about it. We've seen those videos where you have this old black woman crying, scared, saying the rioters have destroyed everything I used to do and what I love, and I was so scared. You see these videos. You see who's being hurt by this, and yet still I see these people asking for more of it. And that's when I'm just, I don't know what you want, man. I really don't. Look at these celebrities that are going out and being like, I'm going to pay for all the bail for all of these rioters. It's funny because simultaneously they're claiming it's white supremacists that are engaging in this. Joy Reid said it. And then the celebrities are funding the bail for the white supremacists. Like, how does that make sense? That was a tweet from Andy No, by the way. I was like, what's going on? This makes literally no sense, because they don't want anything. I don't know what they want. They don't. Everybody's confused and everything's falling apart. That's it. We are facing the collapse, man. How long have people been saying that empires can only last so long? Well, I think we're getting to this point, where maybe after a certain amount of time, a society becomes authoritarian. I think the next thing we may end up seeing is we're going to see a couple things. I think it's likely we end up seeing martial law. There's a video of what is reported as National Guard walking through a residential area and then firing paint canisters or paintballs at people standing on their porch. Like, dude, I get it. There's a riot, but I can stand on my porch, yo. What's the big difference between me being behind the door or in front of the door? I'm not in the street. I'm on my property. And the National Guard fires at him. Well, you get martial law when you want it. Here's what happens. These videos of martial law, of cops and National Guard yelling at people, are going to trigger everyone. So we will have order temporarily when the military and the National Guard comes in. But then eventually people are going to get upset. If the riots don't stop and the National Guard and the military enforce these very, very strict draconian laws, you will see the riots increase when more people get dragged into this, upset now that there's martial law. If the riots can be stopped and martial law, or like the National Guard and the military actually stop things, then I think you're going to see a landslide for Trump. But that's what I'm going to talk about in the next segment. So stick around. Next segment is coming up at 4 p.m. over at timcast.net. It links you to my main channel. Check it out, and I will see you all then.